want a car. Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
Zack, do you remember when we did Lego Batman? And it was like an hour and 40 minutes. And even then, like a little too long, but like it was like an hour and 40 minutes. Do you remember that? And like and generally, I mean, yeah, okay. I'm not saying it didn't like dip in the middle a little bit there. I'm not saying it's a fucking perfect tight script. What I'm saying though is it does generally have the shape of a movie. The character of Batman is presented with a problem, and then by the end, he grows and changes and like learns something about himself by solving the problem.
And one thing I liked about that movie is how one scene led to the next scene.
Yeah, there was a general
so on
momentum
and so forth.
Where
momentum. That's a good word.
Yeah, I don't know if I missed a part where, like, an hour into the movie, you see fucking Michelangelo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we do like 40 minutes on him, and he hasn't had anything to do with the nothing that had happened so far.
Right, yeah. I did think Lego Batman missed an opportunity for a half-hour epilogue with scenes from a movie that will never come out. I did think they missed an opportunity there.
God, good to see you all among the living. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talon Mix. It's a Smallville recap podcast. We've been doing Batman. Zack, sing the song.
No, not Smallville.
So this week, if you're listening to this and you're like, I thought you were going to do Justice League 2017. We were going to do Justice League 2017 and then cover Justice League 2021, formally known as Zack Snyder's Justice League. But as we were watching 2017's theatrical cut, I think we were realizing, though they are distinctly different movies, there's no way to talk about one without the other.
Yes, yeah, exactly. This is one conversation.
I don't see how we talk about the 2017 one without blowing everything we have to say about the 2021 one. It's one
two movies, one conversation, or rather, two movie-like objects.
They're vaguely in the shape of a movie. It's a little uncanny valley of a movie.
Yeah.
Not just the visual presentation. Like, it's like a movie, but something about it is making me angry. It's the 27. So where to even start, right? It's I mean, that said, there are many Zack Snyder's Justice League takes out there on the internet, many just like this one. This one is ours. We're gonna go. We know you all know this story. It just happened, but we're kind of talking to people 10 years in the future who maybe found this and like, let me listen to these two idiots. What are they talking about? Yeah, because this movie will not stand the test. It will go away. Sorry, booger eaters. This is not a classic. No one will remain in 10 years.
A important piece of film history, but not for the content of the film.
No, it is. This is a behind the scenes story,
and it is probably an interesting thing to study as a cinema enthusiast, like from an academic.
Just as long as you don't have to watch it.
Viewpoint. Well, no, you do.
You can do all of that without watching. No, you don't.
No, you haven't.
Nah, no one needs to watch this. No one needs to watch either of these movies. Because here's the thing also about the 2017 theatrical cut of we talked a little bit about like which one's better. And the truth is the 2017 one is kind of like the I think the theatrical cut of Blade Runner, right? It's like no one's talking about that one. That was just
right. Oh, I mean, it's more extreme than that.
It's much more extreme than that. But also, no one talks about that theatrical cut except like, oh, the theatrical cut was really bad, and then they kind of fixed it.
Right.
We've talked at like not a huge Blade Runner guy anyway.
So where do we even start? Well, I think we go through the history of the production first.
I think so.
I think that's yeah.
Before we get into that, a trailer just dropped. We're back on. We burned through our backlog doing last week or not recording last week. We're no longer ahead of the game. So this will come out Friday. The Joker 2. I do not know how to pronounce that fucking subtitle of it.
Folia do? I don't know. That's my guess.
Something like that. My wife knows. I don't, because I'm dumb. But the trailer just dropped. Did you see it? Any thoughts on it?
First of all, I just think it's telling how little we enjoyed the Justice League movies or talking about them, that we are instead talking about.
I'm just kicking the can down the road, baby.
Instead, we're talking about the Todd Phillips Joker movie.
The Justice League, the two Justice League. It's a terrible, like, awful, other dimensional monster that is a merge of two beings, and it's just standing down the hallway staring at me in the darkness. And it's like, come play with us, Danny. And I don't want to.
No, and then
I don't want to.
There's like a ghost standing next to you that is, scary but not super threatening, and that's the Joker. So you're like, I'm talking to this ghost for a minute.
I'd rather just do that. Hey, monster, we'll get to you. I fucking promise. But I'm gonna see what's up with this ghost. I don't have a lot to say about the ghost. First thing, it had come out a while ago that this Joker sequel is a musical, which is so fucking eye rolly. Fine. And then it comes out, it's a jukebox musical, which is so. Not only is it a musical, it is a lazy musical. For those not familiar with the term jukebox musical, it's like, it's a musical, but we're just taking songs. It's going to be Joker, but Glee. Your Rock of Ages, your etc. I don't like musicals much as is.
Look, it looks visually, it looks striking.
I'd say striking is correct.
Joker was striking visually.
Yeah.
The performers are good performers. I like Lady Gaga. I like Joaquin Phoenix.
Agreed.
I just have the feeling that we're going to have some pompous, obvious takes on mental health.
Oh yeah.
And that's just not my jam, man. I don't think that's the place to do it in your Arkham Asylum. Arkham is not a real institution. You know what I mean?
This is a silly place.
Treated.
Right. This is a silly place where Batman puts people that he's punched.
Yeah.
Which I think, so on that point of it being a musical, though, the trailer buries that real deep, which is that's been a trend right now. The Color Purple really didn't mention it was a musical. Hairspray was a not Hairspray. Mean Girls was a fresh take on the classic.
Yes, Mean Girls. I didn't even realize until you told me.
It was awful. And so Joker is doing the same. The trailer is not indicating that it is a musical. So here's my fucking question. If you're not marketing it's a musical, it's probably because you're afraid people won't go see a musical. Then why the fuck are you making musicals?
In general, that's a good question. But the answer in this case is because Joker made $1 billion and they were like, Todd Phillips, what do you want to do? And him and Joaquin Phoenix are like, a musical. And they're like, sure. Fuck. Okay, people will still see it out of curiosity,
Right.
And
that definitely makes sense for this one.
If you thought the Snyder fans were obnoxious when they're like, it's dark and long and grim, so that means it's serious and better. Wait until you hear it's a musical, so it's
Oh
it's better.
God. Oh God. And do you ever spend some time just like, I won't even go as far as movies, though watching Zack Snyder movies does like create like, I don't think I like movies that much anymore. I can say specifically like, man, I'm over comic book stuff. Like
Oh man. Yeah.
I'm over it.
Yes. I'm ready to watch some movies that there's not a cape in sight. There's no.
Yep.
No CGI, no capes. That's
WrestleMania
my new rule.
was this past weekend, and typically my wrestling consumption is like there's like a week, and that's all I fucking watch, and then I have a great time with it, and then there's like I need to watch something real now.
Oh no! And then you watch this crap.
And so now I'm in like. Now I'm in like, maybe the TV just needs to leave my house for a while. Maybe I should go outside. Maybe I should find an outside hobby. Maybe I'll take up pickleball. Though my second fucking Joker thought, which this spreads over into the first movie, though I don't think I would have articulated it this way at the time. Who the fuck cares about the Joker? I know everybody does, and I know that's why that movie was a gigantic hit. Of like, hey, that character we like. Like, yeah, let's explore him. Why? He's a guy that's meant to be a foil for Batman. So, like,
right.
I don't want to watch the sad clown. That's not interesting to me.
No, I think we've talked about that before. He's only interesting when juxtaposed with Batman. That's his whole existence. Is a force of nature who exists to fuck with Batman.
There are no interesting solo Joker stories. Like I don't think one exists, including that movie. Like just a sad, crazy clown from the director of The Hangover. Yeah, cool, fucking cool.
A pastiche of Martin Scorsese movies. You
and not
just
nailing it.
Watch those. No,
you could just go. You could just like, if you, and you can't possibly have made it this deep into this podcast as a fan of Zack Snyder's Justice League and Todd Phillips' Joker, but like, just wait till you see a fucking real movie. There's a lot of these guys, and some of them are pretty fucking good. You're gonna love them.
Yeah,
if you thought this was good,
yeah, go watch Taxi Driver. Your head'll fucking explode.
You aren't gonna make it out of there alive.
I think both of us were pretty hard on Todd Phillips' Joker. But after just watching, I have a feeling if I watched it tonight after having watched both Justice Leagues, I would be like, oh, what a fucking movie. What a breath of fresh air.
I think so too. I bet
it is a movie.
I think yes. I think, and to me, I even think like Joker, I'd give, if we were to go out of 5 stars, 2.5, 3, maybe. You know,
I think that's where I was at. Yep.
Yeah, it's comparatively of like these movies, these two films are off of the star rating like thing of like there's nothing. Did you give them star ratings on Letterboxd? I don't do stars. I just do hard or not hard. Where did you go? What did you do?
I gave them both 2.5 just because I gave Batman v Superman 2, and they're both better than that.
They are better, but I hate them for a lot of the same reasons.
I think I might rather watch Batman v Superman than at least the Snyder Cut.
Oh, I don't know, man. Maybe. It's like Batman versus. I mean, of the three, I'd rather watch the theatrical and just get it over with.
Right. Sure. Yes. I think of the 3 movies, I like Zack Snyder's Justice League the most. Asterisk.
Yes.
But it's 4 hours long,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll talk about. And if I had to watch one, I would watch the Whedon cut because it's only 2 hours and life's too short.
Right. I mean, it is
I'm not chomping
which
at the
pile
bit.
of shit would you rather
Yes.
eat? Like the bigger one or the smaller one?
I'm not chomping at the bit. Yeah, the bigger one has some chocolate chips in there.
That's exactly
So,
it.
so there's some good stuff. The smaller one is a lot smaller, but it is pure shit. So
The smaller one is pure shit, but it is at least in like the classic like shit emoji like shape, whereas the bigger pile does have to be contained in a kiddie pool because it's sort of shapeless. But once again, some chocolate chips.
there's a decent amount of chocolate chips, and once you get through most of the shit, it's like the last part of it is mostly chocolate chips. So.
Right, it all sort of sinks to the bottom and it gets in there. By then you're immune to it. And we just lost everyone who's ever listened to this show before.
And then when you're done, there's an epilogue of shit.
You're right. There's a false bottom. Look, there's more shit here.
Yeah.
Is all of this? Hey, is all of this shit leading to anything? No.
No. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Aquaman and Wonder Woman over there, they don't have any piles of shit.
No. Even the Flash I didn't think was shit.
I doubt the Flash will hold up to like hard scrutiny. Like if we had to like watch it again and talk about it, had a perfectly good time in the theater.
Right. I think that's a great example of a one-time view.
Yes.
I enjoyed, and I don't think I would if I went back to it nearly as much, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Disposable entertainment.
I think that's what Martin Scorsese was talking about when he described superhero movies as a roller coaster. Just, you go on the roller coaster, you go, that was fun. I'm going to go throw up. Oh, Zach. So
the good news is, Brian, we are, I think, at the tail end of this superhero dominance of the industry. So
that is, yeah,
it feels good.
It feels good. Feels good. I really need the Fall Guy to be real fucking good.
Oh my gosh, I am so ready for the Fall Guy. It's got good reviews.
Great.
So it was at some festival or some shit, and
great.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Ready for it, big guy.
Give me 2 movie stars being charming. Please.
That's all I want. Okay. So, Batman v Superman comes out, and it's a disappointment, I think, is what. But they had to know that was coming. Warner Brothers. They had to know. Like, someone saw it, and no one that movie does not adhere to any standards that an executive would like. It's way too fucking long. It's way too fucking glum.
Yeah, it's not a 4-quadrant movie, which is what you want your...
This is for booger eaters.
You want your Batman v Superman movie to be a 4-quadrant movie, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, this is not a movie where, like, the kids are going to love this.
I'm wondering, did Civil War outgross it? It must have.
I assume easily. I mean, like, this is like a sort of like a peak, right? I mean, Endgame was probably the peak of Marvel money, but I would assume it outgrossed it by a significant margin and was probably cheaper.
I'm looking it up. It came out after, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm I'm having trouble finding out, but I'm certain it made more money. I think Batman v Superman made, in the end, like 870 million worldwide or something like that.
Wow. Okay.
Which
Okay.
sounds, it's a lot of money, but it's not what it could have been.
You didn't get any. No one saw this twice, and of course,
Right.
not no
Yes.
one, but like not a lot of. This was not a like, man, I said it multiple times. I saw Dark Knight just all the time that summer. I just went any chance I could get.
Exactly.
Nothing like that happened this
People
time.
saw that last Avengers movie multiple times. They just kept coming back. Never have I had less desire to see a movie again.
You know what it is, man? All of those movies have moments. And I don't think Avengers Endgame is fucking incredible by any means, but that movie has a lot of moments.
Oh, no, yeah. The climax, the last battle thing was pretty fucking crowd pleasing, you know?
I could absolutely see, and that also, shockingly, it is possible to do this gigantic movie. It's that Avengers Endgame, which I don't think is great. I'd give it a 3-star, maybe. It's amazing it works as well as it does. It's amazing it's coherent. Like,
yes.
It hits all of the corporate mandate checkboxes, make sure every toy gets a second outside of the toy box, and still mostly works. Is pretty incredible. As opposed to. So, first question. We must already be moving on Justice League before Batman v Superman comes out, right? Why have we held on to Zack Snyder?
Well, okay, hold on. Worldwide gross for Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, $874 million and change.
Okay.
Worldwide gross for Captain America Civil War, $1,153 million and change.
Yeah.
So they have to be looking at that going, okay, 800, great. It easily should have been as much as the fucking Iron Man fights Captain America movie.
10 years ago, who gave a shit about that?
Exactly.
Captain America and Iron Man, you know? They're going to fight. Who the fuck are they? Would be most people's like response to that. Yeah. You could have put Batman v Superman out in 1997 and it would have been the biggest fucking hit in the goddamn world.
I think they moved Batman v Superman up to get out of the way of Civil War because the execs had to have known.
They had to. Have you seen that fucking movie? Like, it's really not good. Sorry, I also want to say up front real fast, just in case anyone's like, get to the recap. Jesus Christ, how long is this going to be? We're not doing a recap. There's no fucking point. Like, what
are you recapping?
What are the...
it's like recapping a random montage.
The plot synopsis on Wikipedia for Zack Snyder's Justice League, the 4-hour cut, is like 4 paragraphs. Sorry.
Even they were like, fuck, no.
Fuck. So sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make sure we got that in there.
No, that's it. Okay. Batman v Superman comes out. It makes okay money. It makes great money, but okay considering what it could have done. A disappointment in the studio's eyes. Critically, poorly received would be an understatement.
Yeah.
Not only that, I think the audience reaction, barring the Zack Snyder heads, is pretty universally negative.
Right. It's like, even I think Zack Snyder heads are like, oh, it wasn't good till the Ultimate Edition came out.
Right, yeah.
Nope. Fuck you, no.
So they had to have already had the wheels turning on Justice League. Otherwise, I think they get rid of Zack Snyder at that point.
Right. It must have just been too late.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can imagine here.
They could have gotten rid of him because obviously the you can get rid of the solo guy. Lord
I mean, they
Miller.
did. Don't get me wrong. They did.
Right. Look, I want to be clear from the beginning. The people responsible for this fiasco are not Zack Snyder or Joss Whedon. It is
No.
the executives in charge at Warner Brothers.
Zack Snyder's only crime is that he gets millions of dollars to be a 14-year-old and put what he thinks will be cool on a screen. It's people's fault for giving him the millions of dollars to do that. It's not.
Right.
We don't expect better from him.
Well, yes, and it's his fault, or it's their fault for that, and then just in general mismanaging this property so poorly.
So bad. This should have been a slam fucking dunk.
So the movie comes out. They're like, "Hey, Zack Snyder, I know you've written a first draft with Chris Terrio of this Justice League. We need you to go ahead and make it funnier because that was the problem with Batman v Superman. That was mistake number one from Warner Brothers.
Right.
Because while Batman and Superman was unbearably humorless, and that was a problem, that was not the problem, or it was not the biggest problem with that movie.
No,
I'm not even.
I don't even think we covered that in our 3 hours on it.
Yeah, we touched on it. The problem is that
could have used a joke or two.
Pile of mush.
Yeah,
where a story should be. The problem with it is that the people who made it seem to have no idea of how to tell a story, and I'm not saying they don't have an idea, but it seems like that watching it.
It does. Like, it's a movie. It's a movie I would have written as a 14-year-old, or a 17-year-old. Like, it's just throwing when you're all right. We're on page fucking 85. I guess we'll just do whatever. We'll just do whatever it feels, I'm sure it's not, but it feels stream of consciousness of like, and now we'll do fucking 40 minutes on Cyborg.
Yeah. So they must have had already, it must be like a Rise of Skywalker thing where they have sets, they have to make it by a date or something, because wouldn't you just say, let's stop and get someone else to write this fucking thing?
There is, it turns out, from some research I was doing, a bit of a ticking clock here for the studio. And I think this will explain a little bit for us. I'm scrolling down to try to find it, but from my memory, the studio is slightly worried about an acquisition and that they're kind of like their studio, their specific like offices are going to be like dissolved in this acquisition. And so it's a little like, we got to put this big fucking movie out. And I believe that played a gigantic role in like, keep it fucking moving.
That's so depressing.
Right.
Because the move there, if you've got to keep Snyder, I don't think you do, but if you have to, is to bring in a new writer who's like not his guy, but the studio's guy.
Right.
Like, if you're going to bring Whedon in, you want to bring him in then.
Correct. But that is not what they did. It appears that the movie gets made, and it gets shown to Warner Brothers, who I believe the exact word that is used on the locked picture is unwatchable.
Well, how long was it? It says on Wikipedia how long it was.
I believe 3-ish.
Yeah, 3 hours long.
Yeah. So around Batman v Superman.
Well, the theatrical Batman v Superman's like 220, right?
Oh, you're right. It's
230,
minutes since the theatrical.
Like
You're right.
I mean, if he had shown them a cut that was anything like the 4-hour one, the studio's right. That's unwatchable.
I highly doubt it was structured better. Like there was a magically well-structured 3-hour. If it was this, but 3 hours, no. This is unwatchable.
I mean, unreleasable is probably the better term.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Like we can't release this 3 hour.
I'm not kidding about the loose fucking pile of shit. Like it's all just, it runs through your fingers, the desperate grasp for a story here. Like it's so, I think you and I are both appreciators of structure. We love a tight script. This is not a not tight script. It's just fucking free-flowing nonsense.
Yes. But my criticism of the studio would be if even if he had shown this 4-hour cut to them, you should be able to look at that and say, hey, we don't need to film more. We have 4 hours.
Right.
Like maybe a few shots here or there to connect some things, but we can make a 2-hour, 40-minute version of this that is releasable, is watchable. I'm not saying it's going to be great, but it will be decent because there are some really exciting moments in this. I mean, I think we'll get to it, but I think the last hour of the Snyder version is exciting. It moves like a movie.
I'm with you.
There's things happening, one thing leads to another. They're on a mission. Just get to that sooner, and you have a movie. And if you're Warner Brothers and you have decided that we're not going to do the Marvel thing because we don't have time, we're not going to introduce all these characters in their own movies.
Put a pin in that. I would like to talk about that. Yeah.
Because we don't have time. If you've made that decision, you cannot make the movie where you introduce them all be only 2 hours long. Sorry, guys.
Right.
We're going to need more runway than that.
You're right.
So the idea that they looked at it and said, we need this to be 2 hours is also insane. 3 hours is insane. 4 hours is insane. 2 hours is insane.
It's all...
There's a middle ground there, man.
And that's the thing that's frustrating about Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think, is that. Like, I'm not saying we'd get it right out of the... Let us in there, man. Like, I think me, who's never edited a damn thing in my fucking life, I think I could fix this. Or at least get it somewhere better, Like,
I Googled it. There's like 100 3-hour cuts of this movie online.
Oh, I'm
like,
sure.
People just like... I think everyone had the same reaction when they saw the 4-hour Snyder cut. Was like, oh, there's good stuff in here.
I think there is a salvageable 2.5, 3-ish star movie here, Maybe not perfect, maybe not, and maybe not. I'm not saying you wouldn't be like desperate for like, oh God, if only I had a scene where, or God, if I could shorten this up and concise this up. But like, I bet you could work with what you got.
It sounds like that was the initial plan, bringing Whedon in. Kind of. It was Whedon's going to do some like ADR type rewrites, maybe give you a few new scenes to shoot, punch it up a little bit, and help you get this down to a manageable length. Right.
So that's where I wonder, did we make a mistake? Forget even Joss Whedon being a bad person, a monster. Zack Snyder is a 14-year-old boy, but there's an innocence there. As far as I know, seems like a good dude. Everybody likes him. Joss Whedon is, I think, a much better writer and filmmaker. The bar is low. And a monster sex pest.
Yes. Yeah.
So even putting that aside, talking about his work, I wonder if he was a mistake to bring on. If he wasn't, I understand, like, the guy who made Avengers happen and made Avengers work and make a ton of money. Obviously, you want to bring that guy in. I imagine the thing that has been in my head is Joss Whedon has famously always wanted to do Batgirl. He's wanted to do a Batgirl movie his entire career. And I've always pictured a Warner Brothers executive with a big pile of papers on their desk. I'm like, there might be a Batgirl under this Justice League mess somewhere.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly
clean
it.
up this Justice League mess. Maybe Batgirl is under there somewhere.
No, but he's 100% the wrong person to bring in at this point.
Because I believe he wrote 80 pages. His screenplay is 80 Joss Whedon written pages.
Right. His sensibility is so far removed from Snyder's that there's no way those two things are going to gel in a way that doesn't look like Frankenstein's monster.
Correct. My understanding here is that with Joss Whedon's scenes here, Zack Snyder intended to direct the scenes that Whedon had rewritten. And like, Snyder and Whedon were collaborating a little bit on that. That was not tenable for long. Zack Snyder was very upset by the amount of control Whedon appeared to have on the film.
But like, you want to bring in like Tony Gilroy type, like someone who's does a little bit more serious than Whedon. I know they want to lighten it up, but you can't bring in Whedon's kind of light into this movie. It does not fit.
Right. It's worth noting, when Whedon got Avengers, there was a script, and Whedon was like, "Throw this the fuck out." Yeah, exactly. You know, and he started over.
That's what I was saying. If they want to bring him in from the beginning, that's one thing.
That's a totally.
When you have a full 4-hour movie shot, and you're just trying to fix that, I don't know if maybe he's the guy for a different kind of movie, but not this movie.
For sure. And I think so. Snyder and Whedon not getting along, at least creatively. I'm maybe not even personally. I don't know. I don't know how much they're even interacting, TBH. But my understanding here is Snyder is quickly growing frustrated with that and the studio interference on his movie here and kind of changing it. And that this all studio's not happy. Whedon's now fixing the movie. All culminate in Snyder leaving the project. Some of this is mixed also, of course, very tragically. Autumn Snyder, Zack Snyder's daughter, passed away very tragically. And all of that culminates in, it's maybe not our business to really like, clearly they have their narrative. We could talk all day about like what we think it was, but
right.
Whether he was fired, whether it was a mutual decision, whether he stepped down, either way, Snyder left the project due to a mixture of these factors. And then Whedon basically took over the whole thing. He did not take director credit, even though I believe the actual count there is it's like 10% of Snyder's footage is used in the theatrical cut of the movie. It has the broad structure. It's the same basic story between the two movies. But
I think the studio, for one, did not want the bad press of Whedon taking the credit.
Correct.
Snyder, as much as he probably wanted to take his name off this fucking thing, that comes with a penalty of lots of fucking money that you lose if you take your name off of it.
Sure. So
there's that. And then Whedon got the script credit is where he got his.
Correct. I believe it is Joss Whedon and Chris Terrio get formal script credit. I'm not sure actually how that works union-wise. I think that is a little bit of a union hickory-do, and Whedon should be credited director of this movie. But that's not for me to say. Because I also agree. I think keeping the correct move is keeping Zack Snyder's name as director. Everybody wants that.
Well, I think probably Whedon didn't want it either because he's like, this is not a movie I would have
Whedon knows this is bad, right?
Right. He's like, this is not what I would have done.
Right.
And most of the good scenes in the theatrical version are the Snyder scenes.
Correct.
Like they did keep the good ones.
Right.
Mostly.
So can I talk about what I actually like about the Whedon cut?
Yeah. So let's. So he shot. Just to clarify, he shot. How much percentage of new stuff? Like 70%, something like that.
I believe it's most of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
70 to 80.
He makes every single character much more quippy. It works with the Flash, I think, but everyone else, it's really out of place and weird.
Yes.
But yeah, so that movie comes out. Sorry, it's 2 hours. The studio said it has to be 2 hours.
Right.
It's almost 2 hours exactly.
Yes.
But yes, go ahead. I'm sorry. What do you like about the Whedon cut?
There is some stuff of, I love Henry Cavill's weird little CGI'd out mustache. I think that's great. Zack is walking away right now, but he would be laughing. He would be laughing very loud at my good joke.
It was on mute. I was laughing really hard.
Great. So it opens differently than the Snyder cut, right? It opens on cell phone footage of kids interviewing Superman for their podcast and asking him some questions. I like this. I'm not saying in execution it's great. I'm talking purely structurally and maybe even script wise. What I like here is, as opposed to the Zack Snyder's cut, who the fuck is Superman? I know this is the third movie in this. Who the fuck is he and why should I give a shit? None of that is in Snyder's Justice League. Of like, he's the superhero everybody likes. It's in Snyder's cut, it is just fucking he's Superman. He's from the last movie. He's dead. That's all it is.
It's a slow motion previously on.
Yes. I like that there is a bit here of we get a sense of who Superman is. Not great. It's not perfectly executed, like I said, but I do like it better.
I think just to jump in here.
Yeah.
I saw this in theaters, and I think I texted you afterwards my thoughts on it. And my main takeaway at the time was it's not good, but you do get a glimpse of if Henry Cavill got to play fun Superman. In there. And that cell phone footage is part of it. And then the few minutes he's in at the end. Right. Because I think Joss Whedon definitely understands Superman better than Zack Snyder does.
Absolutely.
Right. And I do. Yes. So I do like the glimpse of, he could have been a really good Superman.
Yes, agreed. And then that's followed up with a scene of Batman on a rooftop beating up a criminal. Yeah. We get the Danny Elfman Batman score in there, which is fun.
Oh, we should mention they bring in Danny Elfman to do the score to replace Junkie XL.
Correct. And similarly, so while Batman's beaten up, we get introduced to Batman, the main character of this movie, in a way that makes sense. Once again, not perfectly executed, but I'm vibing with it kind of. So what we're doing structurally, we're introduced to Batman. Batman is the dark guy on the streets who beats up criminals, and then the alien comes in and we get introduced to this fucking mother box MacGuffin. But I like that the criminal is like, is this happening because he's gone? We have a sense that there is a lack of Superman's presence also, and that's making a difference.
Also, it sets up the alien threat, and it sets up, this is why Batman needs to assemble a team.
Which is not in Snyder's cut at all.
No. We get scenes of him trying to assemble the team, and then he's on the airplane with Alfred, and Alfred's like, why again are you assembling this team? And he's like, because Lex Luthor said some really vague, threatening shit. That's it.
Scene after scene, and no joke, it's like Batman goes to talk to Aquaman. Aquaman's like, I'm not joining your team. And then the next scene is like, I tried to talk to Aquaman, and he's like, I'm not joining your team. There's like 5 scenes of like, Aquaman, join our team. I'm not joining your team.
We don't get a mother box stolen until an hour in, Brian.
Fucking mother boxes.
Sorry, we're jumping the gun. But anyway, yes, Whedon is clearly like, hey, we need to set this shit up and get moving on the story. That's
and
what
I
you
think
need
he's
to do.
correct. I think this
Yes.
impulse is correct. I think the structure of this movie, of the 2017 theatrical cut, is much better. It
Yes.
does have, we have to get the team together. The team doesn't quite gel. And then eventually they pull it together. They beat the bad guy. A movie. That's basically how Avengers
Yeah.
goes. But it feels like a movie. The problem is it's not very good.
No, I think I texted to you that it feels like Joss Whedon threw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
But there was no baby, so but still it's an empty tub now. Either way, he just threw out all the bathwater, and now there's an empty tub.
And now it's just Yep, just emptied a bathtub. Hey, why is that interesting? You're right, it's not. No, you're right. Nothing about this is compelling.
I mean, I do think if Whedon could have done a 2.5-hour movie, I think it would have been much better.
I think it would have been much better. I do. My thing is, I don't know if Joss Whedon's ego would allow him to just recut, come in as an editor. I think Joss Whedon came into Joss Whedon the movie.
No, for sure. But even though even with that in mind, I think giving him a little more runway to introduce the characters.
Sure. While we're on that's basically the end of things. I think the vague structure of the theatrical cut is much better. That's the end of my kind of list there. I don't know if you have any additionals.
No, I think you made a good point. He's so much more economical in how he sets the story up.
Yes.
I'll give you a good example. In Zack Snyder's version, which we'll talk about, he introduces the Flash with this 15-minute long sequence. He goes to talk to his dad or whatever, or maybe that's second, and then he's at the job interview, and then this girl almost dies in a car crash, but he zooms out, and it's like a slow motion sequence where he saves her. It's a cool sequence. It's a fun sequence. It's about 15 minutes long, though.
Yeah.
In Joss Whedon's version, he's in line to go see his dad in prison, and then the guy behind him is being a dick. And then when the guy behind him gets to the front of the line, you see that he's gotten the Flash has moved so quickly that we didn't see, but he's drawn a mustache and on this guy's face.
Right.
That sets up his powers in about 20 seconds.
20 seconds. We have the whole vibe here. He's a funny guy who goes fast.
Yes, instead of 15 minutes. And then the scene with his dad is basically the same after that. So he's just way more economical in how he tells the story.
Yes. I would love to sidebar here, speaking of the Flash. I think a common Reddit comment, and everyone's free to not know that much about how movies work. It doesn't make you a bad person, but I feel like the common thing is the problem with Justice League is, why didn't they think to do solo movies for everybody and then do the crossover movie like Marvel? Yeah, they would have loved to have done that. You saw that trick already. It's not going to work the same way again. And they knew that. I don't think that is not fully the problem with I think you could have made a Justice League movie with no previous movies done ahead of time. I think I could have been fine.
Yes, I think you could have. Absolutely. Especially because Batman and Superman are already so well known. Wonder Woman as well. With the Avengers, no one knew who anyone, except for the Hulk.
None of them were.
Except
for the Hulk, none of these were A-listers.
Yeah. Hulk even was a B.
He at least had a TV show.
He had a show, exactly. Yeah, he had a previous movie. Yeah, you definitely could have. 100%. Yep. But if you're going to do it all in one movie, you probably need to give yourself 2.5 hours to do it.
Or at least, I don't know that I need a full like melodramatic origin story like we get in each of the like Zack Snydery segments here. Not organized in any way that makes sense. It's not like we get an Aquaman episode, a Cyborg episode, which would have made sense. Would have made sense if you were going to do it that way. But like you could have been. This is the thing. There's no Ocean's 11-y like we need an ocean guy. Find me an ocean guy. It's more just like we already put fucking Aquaman on the poster, so I'm gonna get Aquaman on this team.
Right. But speaking of Ocean's 11, I'm not saying you have to do it in as short of a montage, but wouldn't it have made so much more sense in the Snyder Cut to have the mother box get stolen? Batman and Wonder Woman are like, hey, we need to assemble some people. Then you do a scene introducing the Flash, and then right after that, Batman shows up to recruit him. You do the scene of Aquaman saving the guy from the boat, and then right after, Batman shows up like, hey, we need you to... that's a structure.
That is a structure. That is what a movie would do.
The scene of Aquaman saving that guy on the boat is just randomly thrown in like the middle of the fucking movie.
It's so hard to keep this. This movie's so fucking all over the place. We're getting introduced to a main character. Like you could argue a lot of the emotional through line of the movie. That's the wrong word. That implies there's any sort of like cohesion in the storytelling here, but Cyborg's emotional arc is a large part of the movie. We meet him an hour in. 1 hour into the movie, we are introduced to Cyborg for the first time.
That's about how long it takes before we get that mother box stolen too.
And yeah, we get this fucking Valkyrie Amazon like chase scene with characters I don't care about. Action for the sake of action is not exciting. There have to be characters and stakes. And I think you pointed out, and you would be correct, if that opened the movie, if that was like a James Bond action sequence, I think we'd have a little more there.
I think it should have opened the movie. That's the inciting incident of the whole fucking story. You have the mother box go missing. Wonder Woman sees the fire. You don't need to show the 7-minute scene of them lighting the fire that we get in the Snyder Cut. Nope. So she sees the fire. She talks to Batman. Hey, we need to assemble a team. And then you do that thing I just said. And then you get them to that under the sewer set piece as soon as you fucking can, because that's when the movie kicks in.
As soon as you fucking can. That set piece isn't half bad. And I've bounced off so hard by that point. Like
it's 2 hours in, Brian. It's 2 hours in.
I don't give a fuck by that point. I've watched a whole ass movie by this point where shit has gone down.
Yeah. And
that doesn't mean just if Keith is here, our straw man, Zack Snyder fan.
He's in the corner with duct tape over his mouth. So I don't want to hear what you have to say.
That doesn't mean there weren't enough set pieces or like there's no action. Like it's just we wheel spun. We spun wheels because we don't know what to do.
We get a 15 minutes Wonder Woman action sequence that, although I don't like the violence, it's kind of gross, like mass shooting type stuff.
Yeah, agreed.
But it is well done.
Agreed.
The problem is it has fuck all to do with the plot of the movie. It's
just to introduce Wonder Woman.
But we already got introduced to her in the last fucking movie.
Right. So you're right. She doesn't need this. We need a little reminder scene. Right.
She's had her own movie.
And what I'm missing here, though you have not seen Wonder Woman. And I'm missing that Wonder Woman in this movie.
Right, yeah.
here. It's a which now granted the Wonder Woman movie takes place long like in the 40s, so long before this movie. So it's possible, she's changed a little bit, but there's a vibe there to that movie. She's a fish out of water. She's from this Amazon like island of very strong women who's ended up in World War II America with fucking I love him. What's his name? Chris Pine. Chris Pine is the love interest in that movie. So there's a moment in Wonder Woman. She's assembled this little band of World War II soldiers in this mission that they're going on that she's kind of heading up. And there is a man, I believe his name is Charlie, and Charlie is a sniper who, because of the horrors of war, can't shoot. When that moment comes, like he freezes, he can't pull the trigger, he can't shoot anymore, and he says to Wonder Woman as they're about to go, it's like, I'm gonna be no good to you, I'm sorry. And Wonder Woman goes, you have to come, who's gonna sing for us? Of just a little moment of like, your ability to kill people is not important to me. It's like, I want your company, I want you with us. And there is nothing like that in this movie, and it sucks. Wonder Woman rules in the Wonder Woman movie, man. Like,
I'm sure she does, and I wish I had watched it before this because I have no desire to watch any comic book shit ever again.
No, I'm
good. But I don't think it's her fault, but she's not good in this movie.
No,
she has 3 faces that she makes.
And I will say, I don't know if she's good in Wonder Woman either. I think Patty Jenkins utilizes her better.
Right.
She's a little bright-eyed, like optimistic in Wonder Woman. And I'll also say I really, really enjoyed Wonder Woman. I saw it a couple times in theaters, had a blast with it. It's the same third act problems as all of these fucking movies too. But,
yeah.
I think that's the best way to kind of talk about this is go through these fucking superheroes. Cyborg.
Okay.
Cyborg. I can see why Ray Fisher was mad.
Yes, of course. Yeah. He got the most shafted of any of them.
He's not in the theatrical.
But you can see why, because his story is not fun. Or funny.
Nope.
His character is not funny.
And it's not connected enough to the main thing. It's like as much as I said, like, he's the emotional through line. No, he's just kind of having his own little emotional arc that lifts, if you have a 2-hour fucking thing to hit, lifts out real easy.
Yeah. I can see if his mandate was to make it lighter, why you would reduce that storyline to nothing.
Ray Fisher was very upset about it, and I get it. Even though I also get lifts out real good.
It's also way too fucking long. It's just,
and there's good moments in there. Is the thing?
Yes.
It's like at the ATM. When the woman's at the ATM and she's got $11 in her account, and he has it spit out money at her. Great, good fun. And then he walks away in the rain. It's good. I don't know how far you're getting with that fucking metal face, my friend, but
right. And the bank's gonna notice that she got.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with he hacked that and made it good.
But of course, Zack Snyder's got to have the CGI bull. Like fighting a bear or whatever the fuck it is. The financial.
I said there's good stuff in there. I didn't say it was all good.
Okay, so we skipped over the history part of it, but basically fans are upset, and then 3 or 4 years later he gets to release his version.
Yes. My god, we just jumped into it.
Instead of releasing a watchable version, he says, I'm going to release literally every inch of footage I filmed plus some new shit.
Is there a frame of his like, people may not know what a line cut is. So a line cut of a movie is everything. It's just everything you shot in sequential order. And, you know, the good takes, it's just and then that gets cut down and reshaped. Editing tends to be called like the final draft of the script, right? You reshape it, you refigure it out, you take a giant chunk of stone and you turn it into a statue. This is a line cut.
It's no, because the line cut was shorter.
That was his final edit. That was his final edit. That was what the movie was supposed to look like.
I know, but there's all this shit that he didn't actually have shot yet.
Oh, God, it's more. It's more.
Okay, what are the main differences between the cuts, aside from the story stuff? Like, the music is different. I guess that's a wash. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
This one is shown in the 4:3 aspect ratio.
Whoa, God! Is there a dumber? I think they've removed. Did you catch it? At least on HBO Max, it used to open on. This movie is presented in 4:3 to maintain Zack Snyder's visionary, like. Or Zack Snyder's original vision. I think they cut that out because that got memed so hard.
And because it's horseshit.
It's also horseshit. So it was shot on IMAX. And the digital IMAX. And it does sometimes look kind of cool. It's dumb. It's real dumb.
Yeah, it mostly just looks like a VHS.
Yeah, I mean,
like I'm watching it on VHS.
Yes, but it is a very dense. Dense is the wrong word. Dense feels more intentional to me. Nolan makes a dense frame, right? This is like it's as wide as it is tall. Like you could definitely fit this into like a 16:9 easily, right? But the problem is I don't think he's utilizing the height in an interesting way that makes me like, I'm so glad you kept all of this. And I understand you framed it in a certain way, so you want to show it in the way that you framed it. But also, it just reeks of like kind of douchey and not really understanding what that aspect ratio is used for.
Yeah. Yes.
It's... I have not watched Oppenheimer at home. I'm willing to bet it's in 16:9. And like...
Yeah. I think most of Nolan's stuff... with the IMAX stuff on Blu-ray is 16:9.
Yeah. And then, you know, and there are great reasons to do 4:3. One of my favorite movies of the last couple of years, The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers is in 4:3. Specifically to make like a more claustrophobic feel. Like, you know, like... Or
the, what was the Wes Anderson movie, The Grand Budapest Hotel?
Yes.
He really did switches between different aspect ratios.
There's reasons to fuck with aspect ratios. Do I believe Zack Snyder has any good reasons to do any of these things? No. I think it just feels to me, and maybe this is mean and maybe this is inaccurate, but he just seems like the kind of guy who's like, the fancy filmmakers do different aspect ratios, and I'm one of the fancy filmmakers.
Yep. No,
I don't think you thought about that aspect ratio in any meaningful way. I don't believe you did it.
So the Snyder version, I think after the first 2 hours, I do think it picks up. I think from the sewer set piece until the climax in Chernobyl, I think is decent. That is a movie with some momentum.
This is where you get to like, I think you could have saved this.
Right. Barring your random Lois Lane talks to Martian Manhunter scene.
Oh my God, what did they do to Amy Adams? You brought in Oscar winning? Just nominated?
Nominated, I think.
Very good actress, Amy Adams. And you just had her looking sadly as Superman's cape. Scene after scene of bummed out lady. Like, just What do you think she was? I'm trying to think about what she's thinking. I think she came to work and did her best. Don't get me wrong.
I think she's like, where's my check?
You gave this woman nothing to do.
The crazy thing is that she got two completely different roles to play, from the Whedon cut to the Snyder cut, and both of them are garbage. Neither version is anything.
It's, Whedon, of course, famous for Buffy the Vampire Slayer and being a very vocal feminist, which is hilarious now, which has aged like milk. But to the guy who created Buffy gets Lois Lane, and that's what he does with her. Which now, granted, he didn't write this from scratch,
right?
But come on.
I just like the idea of Diane Lane and Amy Adams film that Zack Snyder scene where they're talking and it's glum and she turns out to be Martian Manhunter. And then months later, they're like, hey, don't worry, we brought in Joss Whedon. We want you two to come back. And then they get the script pages and they're like, this is you're bringing us back for this?
Seriously, I'm sure they were happy with the extra money, but
yeah.
So they might, I'm sure reshoots were worked into them.
Yeah, no, they didn't get extra money for that shit.
Yeah, no, that was all just, oh, god damn. Just sucks. And there's a bit where, and Amy Adams is good. She's so good, you don't realize how fucking shitty it is. But she's got you see her go in, this is in the Whedon cut, very early in the movie where it should be, not fucking 2 hours in. She gets up, she's sad. She's in bed alone. She's sad. She goes, she gets 2 cups of coffee, and then she's downtown. She hands one of the cups of coffee to a cop in a car who's like, hey, you're here. You don't miss a day. And she's at the Superman memorial. She's so good. I'm just I like it here. She's so good. You don't realize this fucking sucks so bad.
And, honestly, that's all you need of her until Superman comes back. Set up.
Yeah.
She's sad. She comes to this place every day. Then
you are right.
Then she's gone until Superman comes back, and
she doesn't have anything to do. So why are we pretending she does?
No, unless they're going to involve her in trying to revive him in the story somehow. Just fuck off until you're part of the story again.
Right. We don't need, and this is in the Snyder cut where there are several scenes of nothing.
Originally, Snyder wanted her and Bruce Wayne to have a romance going on.
I hate that.
Me too.
That is not at all.
I don't hate the concept of Bruce Wayne having a fling with Lois Lane. We liked that in the animated one. I hate it here.
It doesn't make any fucking sense here.
No, it's a terrible story decision.
Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense. Unless that was going to build up in a conflict that was interesting. But even then, I'm like,
I heard
this is 4 fucking hours.
It could be wrong, but I heard in a podcast that his original plan, Zack Snyder's original plan, was to have that whole doomsday future apocalypse conflict happen because Superman was so upset that Bruce Wayne stole Lois Lane away from him.
Not interesting. Just not interesting.
So stupid.
Just fucking hell.
He hates Superman. Yeah. Zack Snyder. If he was going to have
That's all there is to
turn
it.
evil because Batman took his girlfriend.
God fucking damn it.
On the plus of stuff I like about the Snyder cut more than the Whedon cut, I think the villain is much more effective in the Snyder cut.
Agreed.
I
not effective to me.
No, I like the way he looks.
Yeah, they look different, and now I've completely erased the
Snyder one is more metallic,
right? Right.
His voice is a lot deeper in the Snyder version.
I will say on the villain though. So in the Snyder cut, I literally don't remember the fucking theatrical, what the deal is theatrically. But in this is kind of like, so Darkseid is kind of a famous like DC overarching villain, a Thanos, if you will, to the
I was going to say, isn't he basically the original Thanos? That
yes, I believe Darkseid came first. You are correct. Yeah. And so Steppenwolf, the villain here, is sort of an acolyte, a general of Darkseid, and he's delivering this way, like, I'm going to destroy this world, and I've destroyed 5,000 worlds, and now this is the only one that has escaped me. Something about these big cosmic things just make it so, to me, like, oh, who cares then? Like, the stakes are... Compare that to and it's not fair to compare. I get it, they're different stories and they're going for different things. But compare this to The Dark Knight Rises, where like, which is a big, like, Gotham City's going to be destroyed, but it's literally like Batman's philosophy and Batman's whole vibe is being put to the test now.
Yes.
And it's all tied to the character of Batman. We're putting everything you've learned in a self-contained feeling movie. We're putting everything you've learned of the last 2-3 movies to the test now to save Gotham. And it's like when it's just big, the world, and none of these characters feel super connected to it. And this threat is so unrelated. Like,
also, I think they kneecap the threat a little bit because both Steppenwolf and Darkseid come off like a bitch. Like,
yeah.
We get a flashback of Darkseid getting his ass kicked by the humans in the prehistoric times or whatever, with everyone united. So your big bad that you're hinting at is like, oh no, he might come down again. We already saw him get defeated pretty easily, it looked like.
Yes, and which in a very long sequence that was for nothing.
And poorly narrated by Gal Gadot.
It's where you're right. Oh God, it's so hard. I can't. If someone like put a gun to my head and was like recap this movie in order, I'm dead. There's no through line here that makes sense of like, we cut to a fucking flashback for a long time. It's just fucking, and it's just exposition. It's nothing. This is where like a big expensive spectacle action scene doesn't mean anything if there's nothing at stake. And so it's just, here's the thing about like people talk about still, even though it seems so dated, I still occasionally see people calling the Fast and the Furious movies like the epitome of the dumb movie and like the dumb pointless action. You know what Fast and Furious always has? Clear fucking stakes. Like, here's a big action scene because if this goes bad, this character's gonna lose this.
Right.
And like, you know what? This movie doesn't have any of that.
Like later on a little bit, but I think the appropriate...
I more mean these large flashback.
Right. Yeah. The appropriate comparison with this flashback is Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, where that opens with the history of the ring and sort of the previous conflict. But you know what the difference is? That is like a short montage. We don't get a lot of action there. It's just like Cate Blanchett, like, hey, this happened once. Let's move on. And
I think you're exactly right. It's not supposed to be it is a big cool action sequence, but it's not supposed to be like, this is entertaining. It's just meant to evoke to you quickly, there's a lot going on here.
Yes.
You know, like,
yes.
Hey, this ring, it doesn't seem like a big deal. It's a big fucking deal. You don't have to worry. And that's where I think people get confused kind of sometimes on the amount of backstory that you need. I'm saying backstory in quotation marks of like, I need to know everything in order to move forward. Tolkien wrote books and books and books about his fictional mythology for this world. What do you need for the Lord of the Rings movie to follow along? Hey, this ring's really fucking important.
Yes. Yeah. If it gets in the wrong hands, it's bad.
That's it. And the way, and we
And
get
also,
that. Yeah.
good people can't use it either because it'll make them bad. That's
It's
it. That's all you
just-
need to know.
This ring sucks.
And we need to throw it into a lava pit.
And that's all you fucking need to know. And I think there is this like, oh, but all of this stuff is important because you need that backstory. No, you fucking don't. It doesn't add up to shit.
No, I mean, we don't
How
need
does
to
that even
see...
affect Batman?
Literally, all we need to know is that he came one other time before, and something about mother boxes. I still don't know. I've seen this movie 6 hours worth of content. I don't care. See, but that's the thing. That's good. All I need to know is that they don't want them to get all 3 mother boxes. That's all I need to know, man.
Also, man, I understand it. It connects. One mother box would have been fine.
Right.
One MacGuffin would have been fine. 3. Who gives a shit? I understand you give one to fucking Aquaman's people, one to fucking. It doesn't. Oh God, it's nothing. It was one thing in Avengers and it worked better.
While we're on the subject of Steppenwolf and things that you can cut from this movie, Zack Snyder, I don't think you need 2 scenes of him talking to what is it, Granny Goodness or whoever the fuck the Doomsday.
I was
like
playing my Game Boy, dude.
He has 2 scenes where he checks in with Doomsday's people, right?
There's
via
a lot of that
hologram or
shit.
whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of
And
that
it's like,
shit.
how's it going? Still trying to get these mother boxes.
It's
It doesn't build anything.
no. I think that's I texted you this issue and I think I touched on it a little bit before that. But there's a couple of scenes like that. At least those scenes weren't sequential. Of Bruce Wayne goes to Aquaman. It's like, Aquaman, join my team. And then they're on a runway. Ben Affleck and Alfred. Aquaman won't join our team. I know. I just fucking saw that scene.
Yeah.
10 minutes ago, you just showed me that fucking scene.
Man of Steel had the same problem in the opening segment where Zod bursts in twice in a row. Like, I'm Zod, I'm the bad guy. Here's how this works. You just did this a minute ago.
I'm not a fucking idiot.
I will say in the Snyder cut, when Superman does return, I do feel something. I am excited to have Superman back when he shows up at the end. I wonder if that's because Superman's the only character with his own movie before then. I don't know, but yeah, I think he does a good job of building up my excitement for he's back. Now, I will say it is somewhat ruined by the fact that he's wearing this stupid black costume.
Why? But you see, he wore that in the comics, Zack.
Nothing sums up what I dislike about Zack Snyder more than that stupid black Superman costume.
Yep.
Because he's coming back from the dead. We should be like, yeah, put on that blue and red, baby, and get back in the fight.
You're right. That doesn't happen. That is such a for lack of a better word, like such a fine detail that like who the fuck has time to care about that 3 hours and 45 minutes into this movie? You're right. There's no fucking like Superman's back, baby.
Yeah, no. And even at the end of the movie in the epilogue, when he does the pull the shirt open, it's still the stupid black suit. It's because black is cooler. The black suit is cooler. The black suit is cooler. Also,
I maybe fucking talked about this in Batman v Superman. Who the fuck knows? I was so beaten down by that fucking movie. The death of Superman is not a good story. It was a cynical fucking marketing decision to sell comic books. It is not a good fucking Superman story. It is a meh Superman story. You don't have to fucking be like, well, in the comics, when he came back, he was wearing a black suit. Fuck you. Make a good movie. It also had like a purpose, a quote unquote, a heavy quote unquote. The black suit was kind of like specifically designed to like bring in more sun rays and like recoup the Death of Superman fucking sucks.
Is that where Cyborg comes from too?
Cyborg is interesting. I do not believe comes from Death of Superman. There is a robot Superman, but I do not believe that is Cyborg. Cyborg is largely, we've seen him in Smallville, largely more associated with the Teen Titans than Justice League.
Oh, that's right.
It certainly was not a founding Justice League member. I will say he is one of the few DC characters that like baseline was invented as a black character, which certainly, you know, otherwise just like all the cartoon, the animated series for Justice League went with Jon Stewart as the Green Lantern.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Why do you think they went with him instead of a Green Lantern? Because you could do a black Green Lantern, and even the dorks aren't going to.
I believe the official WB reason is they had plans for Green Lantern, and didn't kind of want to mess with that too hard yet. I believe that is the general vibe.
Okay.
It's so Cyborg is a way to get some diversity in there. I think both for genuine reasons and for cynical ones. You know, frequently it's both. Corporations are not our friends. But it's a way to get some diversity in there, not make any nerds mad, not to get any bad fucking Twitter press from racists. Batman can be black, it doesn't matter.
No, none of it.
None of it. They're fake.
Especially like I mean, like the dumbest one to get upset about is Superman because he's from another planet and he's adopted.
Truly.
It's a whole. It's part of his thing. It literally could be anything, anyone.
True. That said, I think Cyborg is an easy. He has some familiarity. That cartoon was very popular. Teen Titans, so like he has some brand familiarity, adds some diversity to the team, which it does need. And just if that's not clear, yes, you do need it. It should not just be all white people on this superhero team.
No,
and I think it brings the least amount of Twitter drama because the character always has been.
Did you notice that in the Whedon version, Amber Heard has an American accent, and in the Snyder version, she has what I think is supposed to be a British accent?
I did not notice it myself, but someone on I don't remember if this was a friend on Letterboxd or if I read it clean or just a stranger, but someone was like, what accent does Amber Heard have in Aquaman? And I don't remember.
I believe I haven't seen Aquaman, but I looked into it, and she has the American accent in Aquaman.
Interesting. So this movie predates Aquaman, and this is all Zack Snyder's footage. Interesting.
Yes. And Whedon was like, "Hey, let's fix that," and he was right. But Zack Snyder, in his stubborn, "I'm not going to use any of Whedon's stuff," was like, "Well, we're going with the bad British accent." It's so bad, Brian.
You could have cut Amber Heard out of this whole fucking movie. I wouldn't have.
Truly,
I wouldn't have fucking noticed. Like, it is funny. So the hair in Aquaman, in all the underwater scenes of Zack Snyder's footage, is all CGI, right? Because like the underwater hair thing, that's in the theatrical cut. It's a lot more like bubbles. They create the little oxygen bubbles so that they can do the reshoots cleanly without all these CGI hair shots.
Oh, nice! I love that. So, okay, let's talk about the end here. The end, they defeat. I like the set piece better in the Snyder version, even though it's longer. It does feel more substantial and it feels more meaningful, I think,
agree.
than the version that's in the Whedon one. Because the Whedon one, it's like the stakes feel like nothing. I feel like
the Whedon cut feels like a movie from 2004, not a compliment. Like, you know, like, it feels like Catwoman. Like, just,
it's like Daredevil or
yes.
So they like this really cool slow motion. They cut off Steppenwolf's head and knock it through the portal, and the portal closes. And then Doomsday's like, fuck. All right, I guess we'll just take the spaceship.
Yeah, right. It
didn't really much matter. It was like,
so all of that was for nothing. Like
all of that was to buy you another year or whatever while he takes a spaceship over. Like he literally says, "We'll just use get the Armada together. We'll go the old school way."
It reminds me of now. Terminator 2 does not make that mistake. Terminator 2 ends right. They save the world. Congrats.
Yep. Yeah, it's over.
It's Terminator 3 and all subsequent sequels that like, well, I mean, it happens anyway, because otherwise we don't get to like.
Yeah, you don't
it
get
still
to
happens. They just bought some time. I've seen every Terminator film that has subsequently come out in theaters. You should have stopped at 2. And I like most of them. Even the bad ones, I have a lot of fun with. I'm happy in a theater watching a Terminator movie. I'm having a great time. Why did you make more?
I love the first 2 so much that I can't even fuck with the other ones. Really, I mean, I'm gonna
make you watch them someday. I'm gonna make you watch them someday.
That's fine. Hey, look, I've been meaning to offer you this. I will get excited and involved in any franchise of your choosing if you will do the same for the Scream movies. And then we can, and then we can it has to be a comparable length.
Yeah. Agreed. But
agreed. I need someone to talk to about Scream movies when they come out. I need someone to be excited.
I'll be that guy. I'll get there. I like him. I'm already on a pretty good like step. I like him.
Yeah.
I'll get there. Yeah. I can do that for you, pal.
And then you pick the Saw movies, whatever, Fast and Furious, whatever you need from me. Just let me know.
Great. Yeah. No problem there, pal. I get that need, man.
Yes, for sure. I'm excited about this. I have no one to talk to. Okay. So the movie ends and then there's a half hour left.
Real fast before we get to the fucking half hour left. How do you feel about the Russian family in the theatrical cut? I'm not as offended by it as everybody else.
It's like 2 minutes of screen time. It's like, who gives a fuck?
It's rather just nothing.
But I mean, you do get the fun Superman carrying the house while the Flash saves those people in the truck.
Right.
If I was going to keep stuff from the Whedon thing, I think it would be a lot of the Flash jokes. Because he's the one character. It is, but he's the one character where you can do silliness and not fuck with Zack Snyder's tone.
That is true.
I wouldn't take all the jokes, but I would take some of them.
We could do we could certainly skip the one, I forget, was it the Flash who lands in Wonder Woman's fucking tits and is like, oh, in the
that was the Flash. That was the Flash.
Oh, wabba wabba. Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.
I do think Ezra Miller maybe is a highlight in these movies for me.
I also think that is the thing.
I mean, Ben Affleck acquits himself fine, I think, in this.
Yes.
He's much better here than he is in Batman v Superman, but just because he has more to work with. But other than that, I do think Ezra Miller is bringing it. I mean, the whole cast is fine. It's like
everyone's coming to work, bare minimum.
Yep.
All right. It's time. So you hit this point. We get, Superman in the Snyder cut, opening up the jacket, boom, we see the Superman sigil in the dumb fucking black costume. And then as you're like, all right, this movie, I did it. We're wrapping it up. There's a half hour.
Right. And it's after the movie has somewhat won me back with the rousing finale.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, no, just kidding. Fuck you. You're going to hate this.
So the additional footage, we're tapping back into the post-apocalyptic thing that was largely a dream sequence in Batman v Superman. This is a look into the future.
Yes.
Of this movie, I believe this Nightfall movie that Zack Snyder would love to make. Batman in the desert in the trench coat, and it's all the super
nightmare.
You're right. You're correct. Nightfall is the
Bane story. Yeah,
right. Nightmare. Hey Zach, why the fuck is this here?
It literally is just there for him to show you, look at the cool stuff they're not going to let me do. This is what you would have gotten if these fools didn't take this movie away from me. I think that's literally the only reason it's there.
Was he hoping for a fan movement akin to release the Snyder cut, leading to him getting to make that movie in some capacity?
I believe so. That was always my take on it.
Only reason to put that in here.
Yes.
Do you see Ben Affleck doing that?
What do you mean? He did it.
He did
doing the movie.
Do you see him doing another movie? Like at this point in 2024, do you see Ben Affleck putting that fucking cowl back on to do?
He's too old now. I don't know. That's a lot of work. That's like he's got to totally change his fucking body. I
don't think he was in the Batman costume at all during The Flash.
Oh no, that's one of the worst parts of that movie is the clearly CGI'd Batman. It's rough. It is rough.
I don't think I noticed it at the time, but I was very stoned.
He looks pretty rough in that Martian Manhunter ending here too.
Yeah, what is up? I couldn't quite put my finger on what the fuck was wrong there, but something's wrong.
He's got a ton of makeup on.
Yeah.
Like weird eye makeup.
I mean, he's probably just in front of a fucking green screen here, right?
I think that might be the one that they shot in his backyard because Zack Snyder said they filmed some stuff in his backyard.
Which feels the most like... It's also pandemic. This would have been pandemic shooting, peak pandemic shooting.
Yeah.
Which feels the most like, fuck, fine.
Yeah. So, once again... In a vacuum, I like the Batman apocalyptic stuff. And when I say like, I mean that seems like a more fun, interesting movie to watch. I would watch that movie. Yeah. I don't know if it would be good, but I would watch it.
I'd want to see.
Business being here at the end of this already 3 hour and 45-minute movie.
Absurd.
Of course not.
Absurd.
It's absurd. Also... Batman being like, I'm gonna fucking kill you to the Joker is like so stupid.
So fucking
14, that's just the most like 14 I want Batman to drop an F-bomb and say he's gonna kill the Joker. I've had this thought recently about wrestling. People love the Attitude Era, the era we grew up in, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, where it was all like hardcore and like TV-14 and for adults, and they call people retards and like it's
let me be clear. That stuff, this of Batman saying, fuck you, is still for children.
Yes.
That is still for children.
I remember, I won't say who, but a person I know, I had told him to watch the show Lost when it was in its second season. So it was just like in its height. And they were very skeptical.
We know each other at this point.
Yeah. They were very skeptical because they were more of an HBO guy, watched The Sopranos and stuff.
Sure.
And they watched the first season and they were like, that was really good, man. It just, imagine how much better if it would be if it was on HBO. And I was like, why would it be better? And he says, because then they could like swear and stuff. And I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I say this as a guy who, you've heard this podcast, I say fuck all the time. I literally fuck.
Oh yeah,
fuck,
no,
fuck.
I have a potty mouth.
It's nothing. It
doesn't
nothing.
make it. Yeah, it's the idea that you still, as an adult, think that makes something more adult. It doesn't. It brings nothing. It brings.
Do we have to get Logan
to
out of the vault? Should we keep Logan in the vault, or should we bring Logan out of the vault?
Oh no, bring Logan out.
Let's bring Logan out.
Logan is suspect number one. He is on the 10 most wanted list, number one for this crime.
Of just. Oh, that movie's hardcore and for adults, and like, did they say it's R-rated and like
they swear and there's a lot of graphic violence,
and it still ends with a bunch of people making fucking X-Men faces at the fucking end. It's still clone Hugh Jackman, like, yeah.
He's fighting a clone of himself.
I'm sorry. That movie is dumb as a bag of fucking rocks. And it's also no fucking fun to have all that shit and to be no fun. God, I hate Logan. I
have a feeling that a lot of the people who like the Snyder Cut and who like Joker also like Logan.
Yep.
I just feel like.
And I think they eat boogers. I'm really into booger eater as a fucking insult right now.
Oh. Honestly, that is a good litmus test for me with someone and their movie tastes. Is how do they feel about Logan?
Mm-hmm.
If you think Logan is a masterpiece,
I'm all right with it. I like it, man. What do you want from me? But that's always fine. Oh yeah, for anything, yeah, that's fine. If you think it's a fucking masterpiece, you're a goddamn fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. And I'll tell you that to your face. You were a dumb fucking idiot.
Well, Brian, I've got Hugh Jackman here. I'm going to punch him into the Zoom. So you're going to have to tell that to
you.
You wouldn't be able to tell it. He's such a sweet man.
Oh, he's such a sweetie.
He's so nice.
No, I just want him to like me. I'll talk to him about Australia, though. Fuck Australia.
I didn't mind Australia, the movie. I didn't see the recut miniseries or whatever.
And I'm a Baz Luhrmann guy. I'm game for a Baz Luhrmann picture. Fuck Australia. God, did not enjoy that. All right. Jared Leto as Joker. Any thoughts? I really don't.
No, he's really bad. That's my thought.
Yeah.
He's really bad.
I have not seen Suicide Squad. This is the only thing I've seen Jared Leto as the Joker in.
Well, from what I remember, this is a completely different take on the Joker than what he did in Suicide Squad.
And he's barely in the theatrical Suicide Squad, right? Like he cut pretty significantly.
Yes.
So Jared Leto's ultimately a very small footnote on the Joker, I think.
Even though he did all this method shit and really went for it.
Good. We get the Martian Manhunter bit. Why?
No one cares. He has done way better in Smallville. First of all,
I don't think I ever got to him.
You did. You got You got a little bit of him in season
Okay.
6 is where he's
Okay.
introduced.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't care. It doesn't really make sense to me that he was that one guy all along.
It's nothing. There's a half hour of nothing after this movie. You can turn off the movie here. Like it can be a 3 hour and 45-minute movie. It doesn't have to be a 4 hour and 15-minute movie. Because it's nothing. The whole movie's mostly nothing. This is really inconsequential nothing. It's imagine it's an extended post-credit sequence, right?
Yes.
It's an extended post-credits that's before the credits. And also, the Marvel post-credits thing was a whole, like, maybe we'll see something fun about the next thing. There's no next thing. This is done. This is
Now,
the
let me ask
business.
you.
These things have to make money. It's not making any because they're really bad.
Is the post-credit sequence taking place at the end of the movie just before the credits better or worse than the post-credit sequence that takes place in the middle of the movie in Batman v Superman? When he has to dream about the same thing.
I hate both equally. I hate both.
Okay, let's get out. Okay, Brian, rank them. Rank the 3.
Can I say Batman v Superman, Justice League theatrical, Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Yeah.
Those are the 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Listen, this is going to be controversial. I'm not. We might differentiate here. Number 1, theatrical Justice League. Talking purely. Don't get me wrong. The time spent makes a difference here. I appreciate the structure of it. I think it's more shaped like a movie. It is more of a movie than the other two.
Yeah. I get that.
Then I would go Zack Snyder's Justice League, then Batman v Superman. I truly found Batman v Superman just absolutely the pits. I think that is one of my least favorite movies ever to be made.
I would rank the imaginary middle ground movie between Snyder and Whedon number 1, if I could. The magical 2 hour 45-minute cut that we invented here would be number 1, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would rank Snyder above Whedon just because the highs are higher for me.
That
But
is absolutely true.
If I had to watch one, I would watch the Whedon one just because it's literally half as long.
It's definitely a tub of shit with chocolate chips, and the chocolate chips are great.
Right. Yeah. The difference, yeah, exactly. The difference in quality is not great enough to cover that 2 extra hours of my time.
Yeah. Time is very valuable to me.
Brian, I would be happy if I never had to watch this movie in either version ever again.
I think I'm good. I think that's it. I think we got it on tape. I don't think we have to watch these movies ever again.
There should be no reason. There should be no reason.
No, I think these movies will largely be wiped from history, and that's good.
Until Warner Brothers green lights his animated version of Nightmare.
I don't have to watch it. That's fine. That's fine. You know what? That's perfectly fine. There's an entire series of animated films that I don't give a shit about. That's fine. That don't count. If it doesn't come out theatrically, whatever. I think you basically summed it up pretty well in when we first kind of started texting about it. The theatrical is nothing. It's nothing. Right. It is a 2004 nothing movie. Zack Snyder's cut is something. It is art. I absolutely. Is that worth it? And I think that's a question we can't answer for anyone. I think for us, it's no.
Yes. The question is, I don't know if
no.
I don't know if in this case something is actually better than nothing.
I think I was happier with nothing. Currently, there is no fire in this room that I'm in. I'm fine with that.
I saw the Whedon cut in theaters. I enjoyed it in a moderate amount, and then I forgot about it the next day. And it would have stayed forgotten forever if this Snyder cut business had never come about.
Yeah. And that's
so nothing might have been preferable.
I went from, though, granted it was the pandemic, I did not see the theatrical Justice League. I didn't bother. I was good. And then so I went from seeing and everyone was just talking about the Snyder cut, and I was like, oh well, if everyone's fucking talking about it and it's a fucking pandemic and nothing new's coming out, I want to play. So I went from watching 0 Justice League to watching 6 fucking hours of Justice League between the 2 cuts. And am I better off for it? No, because the pandemic passed and we can go outside again.
I mean, we also need to briefly, before we go, touch on the reception to the Snyder cut was unbelievably generous.
So do not fucking discount. We were locked in all of our homes. It's
yes,
and I will say also the theatrical Justice League is like 40s on Rotten Tomatoes, which is higher than BVS.
Oh yeah, no,
it's around it's actually... Man of Steel, I think.
Let's see, I'm going to look it up right now. Justice League.
I remember people being pleasant about Justice League, I think.
Yeah, me too.
People being like, it's only when the Snyder cut came out that everyone was like, it's awful, it's terrible.
Right. They did that thing that they did with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where now when they write about that movie coming out, they're like, oh, it was terribly received by critics and fans. And then you look at it and it's like, no, like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is like in the 70s.
Right.
On Rotten Tomatoes.
Right. And to be clear, this is no Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, no. That movie knocks both of these fucking movies out of the water. Absolutely.
Spielberg on his worst fucking day.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes. Spielberg's episode of fucking Columbo that he directed when he was starting out.
Right. Absolutely fucking destroys this. But yeah, I think, the attitude towards the theatrical has turned since it has released. I remember a distinct, it ain't near as bad as Batman v Superman. Right. And then, I believe the Rotten Tomatoes scores are, you maybe literally said this, but, theatrical's 40-something. Just the Snyder cut is 70-something. And, nuh-uh. If you had to see this in a fucking theater, nuh-uh. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap up our discussion of both the 2017 theatrical release of Justice League and the 2021 Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know this was a little bit rambly. This was one of our rambly. Fuck you, we've earned it. We watched 6 hours of Justice League.
If they don't need a structure, we don't need a structure. If you're listening to this and you didn't like this 2-hour episode of our show, don't worry. We have a 4-hour Brian's cut is going to be released in 4 years. That is going to. It's visionary.
I have a whole WrestleMania segment that's going to bring this whole thing together. That said, we next week hopefully we're back on the good end. The Batman, Matt Reeves' The Batman is a good movie. I think the question is it going to be good enough to get over the hump of fatigue that just these movies were this chunk was bad for me, man. Even Lego Batman was not quite enough of a hump killer for me.
No, I was riding high up through Rises.
Yeah.
Which is 10 movies or something deep. And
incredible.
Then it was just oh no. I'm like, do I ever want to watch another superhero movie again?
Seriously, it's I mean, this has been a wild marathon.
And you know what happens when we're done, Brian?
We're done.
Back
we're
to small.
I'm kind of ready.
I'm ready. I'm totally ready. Give me some 45-minute chunks.
Oh my god, I wasn't even thinking about it on that level. Yeah, we just get to watch an episode of fucking TV. Oh my god. We also maybe have some new ideas, maybe starting to bubble up into actually happening. I think 2 years of conversations, at least a year of conversations, maybe starting to finally come into something we're going to be able to do. So keep an eye out for that. Hey, if you like this podcast, maybe give it a rating or a review on your podcasting app of choice. We're also on YouTube. These episodes just auto post kind of regular, but if you want to like comment directly on an episode, we read them. We'll respond. That'd be cool. We're not really doing that. No one's really commenting right now, but if you do, we'll check it out. Maybe you love this movie. We'll get into a fight about it. Also tell us what's the question? Which one do you prefer? Have you seen both? What do you prefer? Are we right? Zach, who do you agree with more? Am I right that the structure is more important, or is Zach right that like the high is being high is worth it? Let us know. I guess that's everything. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Zach, do you have a question for Batman?
Batman, what makes you more upset? Thinking about your parents getting killed in front of you or watching these fucking movies?
Good night, everybody, but not to Zack Snyder.